Hey y'all, Zelda here. If you don't know me, I am a somatic therapist, I am a psychic medium, and I am a curious collector of information and communicator with spirit and lover of all things magic and lover of flowers and plant spirits. So that is who I am. That is what you will find here on my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I am coming to you to share some of the wisdom and magic of the morning glory. Specifically, this is the very first video that I am recording of this new series of working through the archetypes and entities and spirits of the tarot, working with them and working with the spirits that work in combination, at least in my understanding and awareness. Everyone's is different. Starting with the Fool. And the Fool has these morning glories. At least that's what I think they are. I can explore more interpretations, but even if that is not exactly what they are, I'm sure some people might have disagreements. But if they do, one of the things that's important to note is that morning glory, or Gloria, as she has come forth, has come to communicate some of this wisdom. And this is something that you can filter through your own system and see if it lands or if it's useful for you. And if it is not, then you can use that as information to tell you what does feel aligned. And that is how I encourage you to approach this. I am not an expert. I am not a guru. I am not even your teacher in this capacity. I am doing a knowledge share. I am sharing this wisdom with you so that you may feel empowered to go about your own journey as it informs and supports. So since we are going to be dropping in with Gloria, with the morning glory spirit, flower spirit, as relates to the Fool, I'm going to take a moment and just call in our guides in this moment. So whatever you need to do to ground yourself, to support yourself, I encourage you to do that now. If you don't like grounding in this way, that is up to you. You can certainly skip ahead, but I do encourage connecting in some way to your own spirit, to your own body, and grounding yourself a little bit. So taking some breaths together. I, Zelda, call upon my own great spirits, inviting them in, and I invite you, viewer, to call upon your own great spirits, ascended ancestors, wise and well, good spirits, gods, guardians, and guides who surround, support, and uplift us. We call upon, in gratitude, all the versions of ourselves, past, present, future, greater and shadow in this and every timeline, and express gratitude for aligning us here now. May we be ever present to receive. Okay. So the skull, I work with crystal skulls, but I don't necessarily always work with them with my guides. But this is the skull that Gloria chose. And I had been connecting with the morning glory not recently, actually, a little while ago. And someone came into my inbox, they slid into my DMs, and they were someone that I knew of in the crystal community who was going through a challenging time. They had a lot of medical bills and they were needing to sell some of their skulls, and they thought of me. And I don't often when people solicit purchases, if I can help, I do help, but I don't always have the capacity to do that. So that's not always how I encounter and connect with my skulls. But this time I felt really connected, and I had been connecting with Morning Glory, and I asked the person after I had paid and they had, sent them over, I said, did they give you a name, the skull? Was there a being you were working with? And they said, yes. The name that came to me was Gloria. And I thought, how perfect, right? How perfect. And the Morning Glories they are growing in the garden. They were here when I moved here, so I didn't plant them. They already were thriving here. And they grow with these vines, these winding, beautiful vines all over things. And Morning Glories, the way that they kind of are a trumpet looking shape. With different striations. This is just what it looks like to me, open, just the face of it. But they're kind of a trumpet, and at nighttime, when the sun's not out, they wind themselves back up. They close and then they open in the day. And they're really magnificent in this way. And I kind of started going out and saying good morning to them, and we ended up having to pull some of them up because they were growing fiercely into this ventilation unit that is attached to our home. And so when we were in this process, I was like, oh, but I really love them. I love the way they're outside my window, and I love that they unwind themselves and wake themselves up each day to meet the new day. And this felt really important for the messages that Gloria brought. And so I'm going to ask and just listen for a moment to see if there's anything specifically that Gloria wants to share at this point before I talk about more of the symbolism of Morning Glory. When you open your eyes each day, you have the capacity, the gift of a new beginning. They're showing me this the screen of an Etch-a-Sketch or something that gets all filled up and then is shaken and removed. Is there anything else that you want me to share right now, or do you want me to keep talking about? Yes. Okay. Clearing the slate like this invites you to arrive as we are in this moment, following one word at a time, like stepping stones, letting the path lead us rather than constructing the path. in closing, that turning inwards, you place trust and surrender to the will of the sun to rise and awake you when it's time. There's something about the recovery process. Is it okay if I start talking now? Yes. Okay. So there's something about this recovery process of like the going inwards and the flowering outwards that like new dawn of a new day feels so connected to this full energy, to the flowering or blossoming open into what is possible. I saw this flower that like blossomed open, but it was like, I don't know, it's like the idea of like you have a really hard day, and that sometimes it's like, oh, I have to wake up tomorrow and do it again. Sometimes that's the feeling. But sometimes the feeling is like, oh, thank goodness tomorrow is a fresh start. Thank goodness tomorrow I will be able to start from scratch. I will not have to continue the stress of this day. I'll get a reset. And that feels like the potential energy, right? This kind of disrupting energy of like seizing the fresh start. Morning glories have, with this kind of like opening to newness, there feels like a really magnificent potential that like if all of the possibilities were kind of like lined up, that starting again gives you the opportunity to engage with so many different pieces. Okay, share. So when I was looking through the flower essences, one resource that I've really been loving is this book by Nicholas Pearson, Flower Essences from the Witch's Garden. And they have, the author kind of laid out a lot of specific ones, as well as like ways to make your own flower essences and like to speak the language. So if you like flower essences, this is a great resource. And I thought that I would read a couple of the different facts about the morning glory. So you ready? Morning glories are a large group of flowers belonging to the convolvulus family, the convolvulus. They are vines with trumpet-shaped flowers, most recognizably in shades of blue and violet. The flowers open at dawn and have a five-fold symmetry in their flared corollas. So you can see that symmetry, right? They often attract moths and butterflies as pollinators. While the common morning glory is native to Mexico, hundreds of countless species and cultivators are grown in warm regions around the globe. The seeds of many species of morning glory contain psychedelic compounds, and they've been used as sacred medicine for contacting the spirit world in Central and South America for centuries. Ingesting the seeds is said to allow you to commune with gods and receive messages from spirits for healing and prophecy. Art from the region often depicts members of this botanical family alongside gods and spirits, and the morning glory is associated with a mother goddess figure in some parts of Mexico. The plant is ruled by Neptune, the planet of the mystic, although the matutinal nature of the blooms also allows for a link to the sun. They are a signature for communication. Indigenous people in Central America use the medicine of this plant spirit to commune with their gods, and the morning glory flower essence also provides contact with non-physical beings such as spirits, gods, and other beings of light. Flower essence healer Diane Stein suggests that this essence is helpful for connecting with the devas and the spirits of nature, as well as extraterrestrials. The essence connects you to the very planet itself, allowing you to speak to the heart of Mother Earth to receive her wisdom and guidance in your everyday life. It also says that it can be helpful for people getting up in the morning, that it resets your inner spiritual rhythms that influence cycles of rest and activity, complete renewal, helping you form new and consistent habits, Morning Glory flower essence can also help with treating addiction. So like setting a new pattern, kind of. It says the effect of the flower essence also invites clarity and simplicity by inviting you to separate needs from wants, teaching you to focus on what really matters in each day, and curtailing cravings for empty stimuli and short-term gratification. So this is something that, like, especially with the Fool, right? That there's this quality of being moved by spirit, of awakening to a calling. Many people read the Fool as like taking a leap. I have even called it like a leap of devotion. And I think that it feels like from the outside that it is a brave leap. And perhaps it is, right? But it also feels like look at the quality and the like carefree nature. It also feels like it's not a leap of like, oh, there's this scary thing, but I'm just gonna pretend it's not happening and flounce along. It's like oftentimes the leap is like, wow, I made this decision and I didn't know how important it was going to be for me when I made it. Or I look back and I think, wow, that was a really brave decision, but in the moment, I didn't think about being brave or not brave. Should I tell that story? No? Okay. I'm going to save this for a video that I'm about to make on the Fool as a timeline jumper. So if you would like to see that, I will link that after this video. Specifically for Morning Glory and how Gloria wants to communicate, I'm just going to give her a little bit more space to open and share how some of this connects. Is it truly brave to awaken each day? Maybe. It is also something natural, a rhythm that is in harmony with every living being, including the vitality of your own being. By attuning to these rhythms of the opening and closing, the expanding and contracting, there's a conserving of energy for where it is truly needed. Gloria also says that your Fool moments will happen when you see the sun and something inside you is magnetized, is called. And until then, there is a resting, a sleeping, a nourishing, a comforting, a curling inwards. I'm seeing this kind of like contrast of like the stretching. It's like a baby ant, like a baby fox. Yes. And it's like coiled or curled up, like nestled. And that when it like wakes up, it kind of like opens its body and stretches out. And that these two contrasts are really magnificent. They like support each other. They're not contradicting. They're not in conflict. They're actually complementary. And that this is a quality, right, of the both carefree quality, the like surrender quality or the leaping, the trust, the bravery that it takes, but also the like on the flip side, the easefulness, the effortlessness, the willingness to trip along and be guided along your path, to be loose and ready to receive. part of what Gloria says is that reminding you of the reality of these other beings, of the undying, eternal quality of your soul, is to put you back in relationship with the ease of devotion and the ease of surrendering to your purpose, an unwinding or a shedding away. And also a pervasiveness. I see the reason we had to remove the morning glories from this ventilator. I'm not an HVAC specialist, so this thing that air comes out of that I think has to do with my heating and AC outside of my house. The reason we had to remove it was because the winding threads, the morning glory, I think some species are also called bindweed, right? And that these winding vines are so strong that they were actually warping the side of it. And so one of the other things, the reason I'm saying that is to explain this message that is kind of coming through, which is that this quality of being this quality of morning glory, of Gloria, but this quality of the Fool too, this capacity to be delighted and curious and distractible and flighty in some ways and unknowingly brilliant and brave in leaping into your own arms. That this is actually something that dismantles the systems that keep us from ourselves, the systems, the institutions, the walls and the barriers that are built and constructed by the ego or built and constructed by the forces that desire things to stay imbalanced and the same. That those cannot withstand this patiently creative, wandering, winding quality that morning glory provides, and that the Fool, the wisdom that the Fool brings us. That these leaps defy logic, actually. The way the vine grows doesn't go from point A to point B. It goes wherever it wants. It follows the sun. It leaches the energy. It draws the nutrients that it needs with perhaps reckless abandon. It takes over areas. It can be invasive in this way. And it is also resilient and just so alive because of it. And Gloria speaks of how this is part of reveling in the sustaining and awakening glory of awakening to your own spirit again and again. And that this is a quality that can be enlightening. The author also talks about it as being exuberant, the ones that they've made. And so that feels really almost like the trumpet call of morning glory, almost the glory, that quality of a breath of fresh air, right? Opening in that way. An intake of magic and awe and wonder, something that interrupts, right? Something catching your eye and no longer seeing that path in front of you in the same way. That is some of the gifts that Gloria brings, some of the light that she shines, the relationship to the kind of magnetic quality of our own transcendent selves. Is there anything else that you would like me to share? No. Okay. So for time's sake, this is where I'm going to leave you. I am going to add another video that I'm going to record right after this about the Fools and how the Fool is a big sign of like timeline jumping. And so if you're interested in that, feel free to check it out. You can also check out my active online like writing space, my blog, if you will, where I'm going to be doing reflections for each of the tarot cards and the archetypes. And so you can check that out if you'd like at my website. I'll link it in the bio. As always, thank you so much. It is in love that I received you and your energy and your spirits today, and it is in love that I return your energy and your spirits to you now. Thank you.